Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hawk Experience podcast. My name is Ian Victor. I am your host, and I want to talk about the Seattle Seahawks' quarterback situation. So, you got Geno Smith, who is on the final year of his 3 year, $75 million contract with a 44.5 cap hit that when he's set to make this year, which I believe he's not going to be making that. You got Sam Howell, who came over from Washington in a trade because they wanted it to get Jaden Daniels, which I don't blame him for it. And then you got Jaron Hall as the third quarterback, emergency quarterback. So after the Russell Wilson trade had happened, you had Geno Smith, and then you had Drew Lock. And then there was a camp between Geno and Drew Lock back in summer of 2022, and Geno won the job. And then they went 9-8, 2023 season, 9-8. This year, 10-7. And I wanted it to say that I think this is going to be the year where the Seahawks is going to take a quarterback. I ended up guessing this the same way last year because in my opinion, thought that they were going to take Spencer Rattler, and then they did it. I just wanted them to take Spencer Rattler just to take a flyer out on someone because you didn't have to start Spencer right away. You could just set him down, let him learn behind Geno, and then if he's ready, we could have moved off to Geno and we could have plugged in Spencer Rattler, but that did not happen at all. So now we're in a situation where Geno's going to want a new contract. We saw Sam Howell in that Green Bay Packers game, and it did not look good at all. It just did not look good at all. And at first, I was just kind of like, when the trade had happened, I was just like, okay, I'm going to take a chance on him. But then when those reports started to come out and said that he was doing so bad that they literally had to go get a third quarterback, in which Jaron Hall was on the practice squad, and then he got elevated, to games which he didn't play, but at the same time, but he was just that third quarterback emergency. And now I think this is going to be the year where Seattle has to take a quarterback because you had a chance in 2022. I kind of say you had one, but at the same time, you didn't because the Panthers were not going to trade they weren't going to trade the first overall pick because they already traded it with the Bears to go get Bryce Young. And then the Texans were sold on CJ Stroud. And then 2023, no, was it that 2022 or 23? No. Yeah, that was 23. And then you had Anthony Richardson, like before the Devin Witherspoon pick. This past season, you had six quarterbacks literally go within the first 10 picks. And it was just like at a point, it's just like, oh, wow, like you can't even get one because those teams were not trading up because they were set on getting a quarterback. So I'm looking at the Seahawks situation. I think those contract negotiations with Geno is going to be a lot harder than a lot of people expected. I'm projecting at least 2 years, 3 years, somewhere between 90 to 120 million. That's where my suggestion would be. And my opinion, the cap, I don't understand how to cap, but I would project it to be at least 37 to 40 a year. That's where I'm set. And if he wants to say I want 50 million, because I do not think that Schneider or the front office or any other team is going to pay Gino 50 plus, especially what happened with Kirk Cousins down in Atlanta. I don't think teams are going to do that any longer. Like, that's just my opinion. So I think Gino is probably going to have to take at least 37 to 40, the max, a year type of contract if he's wanting to stay. I mean, if you look at this quarterback class, not really, not really intrigued. But there are some quarterback prospects which I have my eyes on, which Cal McCord, Jackson Dart, which a lot of people in the fan base is really, really behind. Will Howard, you got Quinn Ewers. I I'll make a separate video on him. Who else? You got Riley Leonard. You got Jalen Milrow, Seth Hennigan, Tyler Shook. You got some quarterbacks in this quarterback class that you could take a flyer on day 2 or day 3, mainly more so day 3. But I think for like the first time in like a long, long time, I think the Seahawks are going to draft a meaningful quarterback, not an Alex McGee where you could just take one just because you said that you take one and then just push him to a side and he's now in the XFL now or the UFL. I don't know what it's called because I really don't pay attention to it, to be honest with you. But I think you draft one of those quarterbacks to actually compete with Sam Howell because, in my opinion, I think Sam Howell is terrible. That's just my opinion. That's really just my opinion. Like I, I don't have any confidence in Sam Howell. I would rather take a flyer on Jared Hall to be a backup. If they don't draft a quarterback, I would have at least take a flyer on Jared Hall more than Sam Howell because I've kind of seen enough. I think that Packers game is all I needed it to see. It's all I needed it to see. And Gino's going to have to accept that he's just a year to year bridge. They could make a case for Sam Darnold, but I don't believe Sam Darnold wants to come out here. And plus, I think the Raiders, the Vikings, or the Rams is going to sign him. If it's the Vikings, they'll probably franchise tackle because they have JJ McCarthy. If it's the Rams or the Raiders, they probably may just sign him to a long term contract. My opinion of Sam Darnold, I think he's just another version of Geno, but he's a lot younger. That's just my opinion on it. But I'm going to be paying attention to this combine for some of these quarterbacks. The quarterback market and free agency is just terrible. Like there's just nobody. I would pay attention to that Joe Burrow situation in Cincinnati, especially I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and Cincinnati is just like an hour plus away from me. Like I could literally like pay attention to that Cincinnati Bengals situation because I know they're not going to resign T. Higgins. They're not going to resign Trey Hendrickson. They're going to have to try to find a way to pay Jamar Chase because literally, like the Bengals literally had to sell their stadium naming rights just so they could give Joe Burrow the contract. Like I'm just going to be honest with you on that one. Like I'm not saying that to just I'm not saying that to just be Like la 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 la. Like that's an actual real thing. But I think my prediction, they re-sign Gino to a short-term extension. They get a quarterback in the draft. They sit that quarterback down and develop him. Gino is, like I said, Gino's gonna have to accept that he is a year-to-year bridge. And if that quarterback next season, if they move off of Gino, he doesn't work out that next season, the following year, you go draft another one. You know, I think that the Seahawks should take the Green Bay Packers method when it comes to general. No, no, no. Ugh. Let me rephrase that. I think that the Seahawks should take the Green Bay Packers approach when it comes to quarterbacks. Take quarterbacks every year or two, develop them until, like, hey, if he beats out the starter, plug him in. If he's developed enough, you can trade him for some valuable draft capital. Do it. You gotta start taking shots at quarterbacks because you had Alex McGill and then Trevon Boykin. That's about it from what I know of. But yeah, that's the quarterback situation here in Seattle as of right now. And I'm going to end this video here. If you want to follow me on social media or Instagram, it is EAK Victor underscore underscore. My Facebook account is Ian Victor. And till next time, I'm signing out. Peace.